Hello, hello. This is the Union Tapes, episode number 32. And this one is with Joe Johnson. Joe was one of the guys that came out of the just post the 80s boom period and kind of was one of the people that helped reinvent BMX tricks, so to speak, with the amount of stuff that he had a hand in evolving, as he doesn't really like to admit, as you'll discover when you go through this episode. But we take it from everything from the start of Joe starting riding in Stoughton near Boston on the east coast of the USA, from him getting onto the Haro team, building a quarter pipe up against his mum's house where he learnt to ride, AFA contests, 2 hip contests, various tours, various trick techniques and how things evolved. This is a really cool chat and very interesting for me as well, because I always wondered many of the things that Joe did, where they come from. And we take it, as usual, right up to current date. So have a listen, hope you enjoy, and get it down, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Well, here we are. Anyway, thank you very much. First of all,
no problem.
Thank you for coming on. Like, much appreciated.
No problem at all. Happy to do it.
It's good to have you. You've been on my list for a while, so it's good to get you on. How's things?
Cool. Good. How about you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just getting this audio corrected.
How does the audio? Does this audio sound okay on my end, or?
Yeah, you look pretty crystal clear, and you sound quite well as well. Yeah. So,
all right, good.
So that's good. 1 second. All right, cool. So I did notice actually, which I was quite surprised at, because when you said you would come on, I thought, oh, I'll get ahead of it, and I'll get what's out on the internet already in photo wise and video wise, and I was surprised how little photos there are. Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm happy with the. I'm happy there's any photos, but maybe in comparison, I don't know. I know that I didn't do a great job saving many videos and photos, so it was good that YouTube came along and things like that. That
there's a lot more video than I expected, but the pics, I was just expecting there's going to be for instance, there's usually 200 or something of a certain person, random. Yeah? If I pick a random big name from your era, there's usually maybe because you came in a little bit after the big explosion, maybe.
Are these personal photos that people?
No,
are these magazines and stuff?
Just all pics. So basically, I just search Google Images, and I usually have a look on Facebook, because that's actually really good usually. And that's really the 2 places I go. And then later on, I'll check Instagram, because quite often there's some rogue pictures that I'll find that weren't on listed. But so I was expecting loads. So I've actually scanned quite a few from old mags I have. And there was... okay. But that was surprising to me. So I've got a big list of videos, but the photos were I was expecting 300 or 400, but there was less.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which was surprising. I just assumed there'd be thousands as usual, but yeah. So,
my career was probably definitely short by today's standards. It seems like, right? At least the guys that ride nowadays.
Yeah,
they've been in the sport for a long time. 5 years go by like nothing. And I rode till I was 20. I was 21 or so. So I was kind of I was sponsored in 85 through 90. So it was 6 years of kind of getting some coverage.
Yeah, but you got a lot of coverage.
Lot, really. Say it again.
You got a lot of coverage, but the photos, people haven't put the pics online.
Yeah.
Because I was finding pics that I didn't remember as well. I was there's another one, and there's another one. Yeah. So there's definitely there's a lot to be put out there, which I quite look. Yeah, I might put some up myself. I quite look forward to it. But yeah, man. But yeah, it's good to speak to you anyway. I actually, what's that?
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in like what part of England did you grow up in?
I'm in London.
And did we cross paths in like I know I was over there in the Manchester comp, the Tizer contest, and
I was there, but I was quite young. I was maybe 16. I was 16, yeah. So I was like one of the younger kids. Or probably the average age of the kids there probably were 16. But yeah, I saw you ride there, yeah. Because that was the only time you came to the UK.
Yeah, I didn't ride any of the whole shots, which bummed me out. I didn't really hear much about them at all, to be honest. Before
whole shot.
The whole shot was big, right? But I didn't like Matt went over and Dennis went over and
that's right.
I think 87 maybe. And 86, 87, but and then I got to go over in 88, but might have been a combination of a couple of times I was hurt, and maybe I just didn't hear about it for that reason or something. Like, but I don't know. That Manchester contest was a blast, and it's always been a mystery to me. Like, who are the dudes that I was riding with in the parking lot? Like, there was a bunch of kids I was riding with that some local guys. That we were riding this hip jump off the side of the building. That like the ramps were in the parking lot, and I rode them a bit, and like Carlo Griggs was just he was just blasting.
Yeah,
and it was so windy out that day, and he was just didn't care. It was I don't know how he was doing it, but I couldn't manage it in the wind like that.
Yeah,
and so someone set up little like a little kicker. I think it was a little wooden jump into this onto this hip, like the side of this embankment on the side of the building. It was like kind of muddy because it was a little bit rainy from time to time. But I just remember, we beat the hell out of that grass hip. But we just rode it for hours and had a blast. And then a bunch of us rode down to this like convenience store down the street. That was probably maybe 10 of us just cruising around. You weren't one of those. It sounds like
no, I don't think so. I remember that that event. It was like there was a racetrack there or something, wasn't there? It was like in a college,
some sort of
college or something, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was either. Yeah, it was some sort of there was some sort of festival area on the outside, like racetrack maybe or something, and just like a big sort of
like dorms and stuff, weren't there?
Yeah.
And so we got the train there from London. That was a good weekend. Yeah, and then people were like breaking off and going street riding into Manchester. Because Manchester's quite a good city for street back then. I don't know what it's like now, but yeah, I remember that. Chris Potts was about as well. I remember seeing him flash past a few times.
That's right. Yeah, he was probably riding with us too on that hip jump.
Yeah, man. But
anyway,
yeah, cool. All right, well, I'm good to start if you want to get going. It's all good.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, just give us. Have you seen any of these before?
I a little bit. I watched John Pova's.
Oh, okay, cool.
And
nice one.
So there's no, I haven't seen many podcasts, to be honest.
No worries. I just wondered if you'd seen any and knew what the structure was. If you've seen one, you know what it's like. So yeah. Just give us. Go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say I like the fact that you sent me kind of an outline of what we'd be talking about, which allowed me to, just kind of think about some of the
that's the idea.
My memory a bit, and I just happened to be talking to Dennis McCoy the other day.
Oh, cool.
And try to get and I told him that this was coming up.
All right.
He was calling me to brag about the Kansas City Chiefs, the football team, because Yeah, and I don't know if you know how that guy is just so incredibly into his Kansas City Chiefs. It's
All right.
comical, but anyway, we were talking related to that, and then and we talked about this a bunch. And I listed off some of the questions, and yeah, he jogged my memory a bit on a few things, but he still couldn't fill in the gap on the mystery riders that I was riding with.
Okay.
But anyway,
I dare say I probably know a few of those guys, but
yeah,
I wonder if this.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've asked Dennis to come on. He was one of the early guys that I wanted to get on, but he was like, I want to do it in person, so I've not.
Yeah, I don't feel offended at all. He's
not at all. No,
he's only done 1, maybe 2 podcasts overall.
I know. Yeah,
I was kind of shocked about that. So
yeah. I'm going to hold him to it when he comes. If he ever comes here, or if I ever go there, I'm going to hold him down.
Do that. And that's what he said to me too. He's like, the whole thing about doing it not in person is isn't I guess isn't something that he wanted to.
I personally don't mind. I'd rather do it person to person.
Yeah, if you can pull it off.
It's just not really. We'd never get through all the people, and I'd rather hear the story.
So practical a lot of times.
So. But anyway, so just give us a quick, a little brief background of where you was born, where you was raised, what you was into as a kid, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, and I grew up in Stoughton, Mass, which it's like a small town outside of Boston, south of Boston, about 30 minutes or so. And I was always into bike riding. I was into baseball and soccer too, but I kind of chose, and I did all 3. I did a bunch of sports, but those were kind of my 3 sports until 11 or 12. I decided to just ride. That's all I want to do is ride bikes, and so I quit the other sports that I was into, and I kind of wish I hung on to one of the sports through high school a little bit, only because I got to see my kids that are doing high school sports. My older daughter is a sophomore in college, and I have one who's a sophomore in high school, and they both did soccer. And hockey, ice hockey in the winter, and they just have a blast. And it's hard to fit in both. And I had the crew I had, the bike riding crew I had through high school would be that's all I did. So there really wouldn't have been time to do the other stuff. So you can't do it all. But it was So it was at about 12 years old is when I just did all bikes. But before that, leading into I heard Pova talking a little bit about his first bike and all that. So
so was that straight into BMX?
Yeah, I'll back up a little bit. Like it was probably similar to really a lot of guys, I guess. I didn't have a very good bike, and I was a single mom, 4 kids, and so we didn't really have any money to buy any new bike. So my older brother, he had a pile of him and his buddies would go to the dump all the time, and I don't know if they call them dumps.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So they drag all these bike parts back and stack them behind the shed, and so my buddies and I'm 3 or 4 years younger than him, so 8, 9 years old, we'd piece together whatever bikes we could, no tires or anything like that. We'd just ride down the street on these bikes with no just with the rims. I lived on this pretty long hill, and eventually we did get some tires and pedals and stuff like that, and built some, pieced together some reasonable bikes that we had. We were all into dirt jumping back then, so there was no tracks or racing just yet. It was all about going to the sand pit and building jumps, and because there was a big development that was going in the next. My street abutted a lot of open, a lot of woods that they ended up doing this big development over there with a number of streets. So there was good solid 3 years or so where they were just constantly had excavators over there moving dirt around, and we would just that's all we did is live over there building jumps and all the new piles of dirt that they move over here or there, and we'd get into other mischief over there too with the excavator stuff. But it was yeah, I think as I look back, like these guys could have, like, we were like 10 years old and messing around inside the excavator, and the trouble. But we were but there was so much to ride over there, and it was so fun. But I mean, it generally just included building a jump, and you'd sit there and you'd jump it, you'd go over the jump, you'd pedal back, get in line, and do it again. It's just wild to think about that was enough to keep you entertained for, like, all day, really. Maybe you'd move the dirt around a little bit, and you'd but it was so fun. But it was just a single jump, and and these back in the days where it was they were banana seats on a lot of the bikes and things like that, and big handlebars. And so, but my first bike, my first complete bike was I had to say was probably like 79. I guess I got a 78 or 79. I got a Raleigh Rampart R10.
Okay.
Which it was incredible to me. It had big knobby tires, and it was a complete bike. And I'll never forget it. Like taking a test drive from the bike shop out into the street and then riding back. That feeling was just incredible. And so I had that for maybe a year or so, and I think it ended up getting stolen for a year and a half or so. And but after that, I had a paper route, and so I saved up for, like, I had a Skyway TA frame.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's another one of these milestones in your life. Like it was like a legit BMX bike, and I had all my paper route money, and I went to the bike shop, and like I can just remember it. Just going through, putting all the change out on the counter and counting through all the piles of money they had. It was like, mainly change in dollars, and ended up with this Skyway TA frame. And
nice.
And but so it was around that time or maybe earlier that we started. There was a racetrack in Mansfield, Mass, which is probably 20 minutes away, and 20, 30 minutes. And so we go over and raced a bit on that, and hung around after, mainly jumping the backside of berms and just finding where else we can do. There was a crew of us at my town and the next two towns over that we were into mainly dirt jumping and a bit of racing too, but mainly.
What year was this? Can you remember? 82 or something?
No, it was before that. It was
okay.
Yeah, it was 1980.
Oh, early, yeah.
Because it was it was like 81, 82.
Okay.
So it was because it was the group. Yeah, the group from the main group that I rode with through, like, the formidable years. Like when we were building ramps and all that. It was a group from Sharon, Mass, and Canton, Mass, and so and Stoughton too. But it was and when I started hanging out with the Sharon and Canton guys, it was I guess I was in seventh grade. So yes, that would have been like 81, and we had those guys had the guys in one of the towns. They had a really good track set up in the woods. I had a good track set up behind my house in the woods, and we mainly just we bounced between kind of the three spots. Yeah, the three spots. Like there was one of the guys he had probably 5 ramps at his house, like, and I had a pretty good setup in my backwoods where I had and this is I guess probably 84
Okay.
that was 5 ramps. But
let me go back a second. Where did you first discover BMX? Like, where did you I want one of these bikes, just from jumping them I
guess I kind of jumped over that. Yeah, like when it transitioned to freestyle was there was my dad lived in a town that there was a local track near his house, which is about 40 minutes away, and I saw a guy do a rock walk. It was definitely rock walk was the first trick I saw, and whether or not it was I think in a frame stand, probably a frame stand and a rock walk, and then so a bunch, and there was a crew up there from in my dad's area that I was at the race with, and then so we all we started we started. I doubt it was that day. I can't really remember exactly how it evolved, but that was definitely the first time I had seen that sort of thing. But it definitely came from after that, mainly like magazines and it's hard to say how it evolved actually to.
It's a long time ago, right?
Because there's a guy. There's always like a guy that you see do it, and then I hear about another guy in my town that can do some of these tricks, and then you see him, but I didn't necessarily ride with him very much, but I did see this other guy do a few things like a bunny hop 360.
Okay,
I saw this dude do it, and and then that was the same guy that started talking about told me about a quarter pipe, which I still hadn't seen a quarter pipe, but he described it to me, and there was a alleged quarter pipe at this house across town. We went there, and it was just like this like a broken down pool deck, like someone's above ground pool. The deck broke, and so they pushed it up against the side of the pool, so it was like 45 degree angle, and you just ride up, and there was no radius to it. And so I'm like, and so we rode that, and I get back, and we started building. There must have been photos,
there was pics in early mags of quarters.
Because this is in 81. We started we got an old fence post, and we hammered it in between 2 pine trees, like 9 feet up, and then we just started taking 2x4s and then building the transition like that, like that, and throwing strap plywood between them, and to make that quarter pipe that we rode across town, but with a little bit of a curve to it. But it was still a crazy kicker at the bottom of it. It wasn't great, but that was in the woods behind my house for a long time, and super sketchy. It was 9 feet, 10 feet, something like that. And
it's high, real high.
Yeah, we put the fence post across the pine trees, and then we started working from that. We didn't really have any measurements in mind. We just seemed like that was a good height, and then we added on to it, and then we ate shit a bunch of times, and we said, "No, that's too high. And we took some plywood off and moved it down." And I think we landed on, because I look back at photos to try to see how high it was, and it was around 9 feet, I think, something like that.
Back then they were like
9, 10, something like
6.
Say it again.
They were like 6 foot tall mostly in the early ones, So that's a monster.
This was the type that it was really long. It was a kicker at the bottom, then it was long and flat, slow radius, and then another quick radius at the top. So it was like, it was the type you got to pull really far out in order to reach the bottom. So it was
like
kind
street
of
obstacle,
safer in that way, more like a street obstacle. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that was like right in the middle of these dirt jumps we had, like this track we had set up in the backwoods. So it was a blast. There was a good group in my area that rode it, and so that was all set up before I met these guys from the next town over, that Sharon in Canton town, and these towns were a little more affluent towns, so they had, I met up with this group for the first time. They had a couple of red lines and mongoose, and I was amazed how dialed their bikes were and everything like that. And so it definitely gave me some motivation to shoot for something.
Oh, nice.
To try to chase one of these bikes. But it was a fun time, no doubt.
Yeah, good. And this is not BMX boom years yet. We're just before it, right?
I heard you mention this with John Paul, but like the boom years, like
we probably got it a year later.
Like where BMX was just, everyone had a BMX bike and it was super popular. Yeah. And then it kind of tailed down and then came back again. Yeah. I think so. It was like probably it was definitely before that. I think I'm just trying to think when did they have the,
so here we had the boom years like 83, 84, I would say, but like it was growing up until that point, like steady, and then it was everywhere. Like, so I'm guessing you guys probably had like 82, 83 maybe was you guys more so.
I think you're right.
Or maybe even like a few months it was only separated, but
I just know when we got when do you remember Beta Max versus
of course.
What year was that? Because there was a bunch of guys in my school, and we wanted to get the King of the Skate Park contest on tape and watch it, but no one had a player except this one dude, Lenny, had a Betamax player.
Okay.
And
so I would guess that would be 83 because King of the Skate Parks I don't think started till 83. So
and so it's because like I'm thinking about the people that were so into getting this tape and watching it. It was like a big crew that, so everyone was into it at the time. We ended up getting it. We ended up getting the beta one, and it was horrible because like the quality was horrible. We had these lines constantly going through the thing. We could barely see it, but we still watched it a million times.
So you was aware of skate park riding as well. So this kind of defines a time as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was the earlier years. There were guys. So guys would come and go, I guess. From my scene, like local guys but there was a good solid 5 or 6 of them that were, that's all we did through 7th grade through high school. And then after high school, grade 12, some people would have to get a job, go to college, or keep riding. Like I was lucky, one of the lucky ones to keep riding. But at the time, I know guys do it now. Guys, it's guys go to college and ride through college, which is really hard to do, and of course work and ride right through that too. But at the time, though, it was like, it was most people were very young that did it, and so as you were getting people graduating high school, and like what's next in their life. A lot of them didn't really. It was hard to imagine that you could keep riding your bike for.
It was hard for over here. People couldn't imagine that you were going to be riding a BMX when you were like 16.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was like, unless you was like pro and getting paid, like it was like something that you didn't do. Yeah, in the early days. Yeah.
But
who was the guys that you were like, the riders that you were looking at doing, like the inspiration in the magazines? Like, do you remember the early
I was definitely
guys?
I was definitely a huge Ron Wilkerson fan for sure.
Okay.
Dennis McCoy was I was a big fan of his. Mike Buff was probably, so he was before Wilkerson, but he was always, he was always someone I idolized, and but he ended up getting out of it kind of early, as it turns out. But and I did finally meet him and get to hang out with him a bit.
Oh, cool.
When I went to London for the Dom Phipps.
You was here for that? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And Mike Buff is. I don't know if have you met Mike?
No.
Have you met? Oh, he's the best. He is.
I think I might have met you there, but just in passing. Yeah.
Okay.
I was at the House of Vans thing. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Actually, I forgot you were there. Yeah.
But Mike Buff lived up to everything I could expect. That he was awesome. He's a miracle. The guy's a riot.
I've heard good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And but yeah, Brian Blyther, Dominguez, for sure. Eddie Fiola is a big fan. So many more. Matt Hoffman, I was a contemporary. We were contemporaries, I guess. So we kind of came up together. But big fan of his. The guy's great.
Oh, cool, man. So like, when you've come from, you didn't never race.
Not seriously, I did race at local tracks, but I wasn't.
I assumed you would have raced just from looking at the way that you're riding on in the videos I was watching recently, more because I've got like a bit different eye than what I had back.
My biggest claim to fame race wise was when I won the 1989 freestyler race off that we had.
Was that Woodward? Okay.
Yeah, remember this one?
No, I haven't seen him. I just assumed it
were only. Thank God, Volker wasn't taking it serious. He probably, he started off in the gate backwards, like, because he thought everyone was just gonna be goofing around. But there were a few of us that were taking it seriously. Like I was, Dennis was next to me. He was too, and a few others were, but he was. And he was kind of pissed after. He was like, "Oh God," because once he saw that, he was already too late. Like he was getting the gate was about to drop. He's like, "Oh shit!" And he tried to catch up, but it was too late. But yeah, I was always a little guy, and then I had a late growth spurt right about that time, probably 80, 89. I got a lot taller. I was like 5'6" when I graduated high school, and I'm 6 feet now. But so that helped with that race. But before that, I was there's more into jumping and probably average. And I think I probably won a couple races, but they were local races and
still like I still think that makes a little bit of difference though to the way people ride. Like I never raced, but I can.
You didn't either?
No, you can tell. You can tell the people that have done a little bit of racing. I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah. So where did you upgrade to a quarter that you actually could learn to ride on?
Actually, the biggest game changer for me was when Eddie Fiola came to like a local arena to do a show and like meet and greet thing.
Okay.
You remember Ron Stebbin? You recognize that?
Yeah.
So he was involved in the AFA stuff, helping with that. But before that, he was like a local. He organized local events and he had a Mountain Dew trick team that he did organized shows for them and things like that. But he had Eddie Fiola come to town, and so he I'm waiting in line to meet him, and then I talked to him a bunch about building quarter pipes. At that time, I built a bunch of quarter pipes that all the type where you have the 2x4s, and then you try to get the dimensions correct so that it matches that whatever radius you're trying to follow along with.
Yeah.
And I had, at the time I was taking like a drafting class in 7th grade, and I'm doing all the everything's related to BMX, some sort of BMX thing, and so I drew up plans for the quarter pipe, which just like the ones that were in BMX Plus or whatever, but with whatever I forget what I think I just sized it up for the height that I needed, and I was trying to get the dimensions of the 2x4s and all this, but yeah, and that's what Fiola told me about the just use a pencil on a string and draw the radius you want to cut to on the plywood, and then you get your 2x4s across the other way, and yeah, I could not believe that when it was like a eureka moment.
Yeah, of course.
Instantly raced home, and we built just a shitload of quarter pipes with that approach. Yeah, we built a bunch, and I built one. I built one in my yard that my mom said I had to. So it really didn't have a lot of room, but there was a spot in the backyard where I could put it. But I had to put a dry well in first for our washer machine to drain into, and which dry well is like you're not supposed to do them, but it was we had dry wells all over our property, but she said what
is a dry well?
So it's basically it's like a big open space, like an open container underground that gray water, so that like not septic water, but like something coming out of your shower or your washing machine. It'll dump into this. It'll dump into this like cement container and then just leach into the ground.
All right.
And so it'll if you don't have a place to dump it, like, because we had a cesspool in the front yard that was constantly overflowing or whatever. She had us digging these dry wells in the back, and so but this thing, I plan on like building this massive plywood area, and I was like, I got to make this thing deep enough and big enough that I'll never have to do it again. And so it was like it was deep enough that we had a ladder going down to the bottom so I could fill up the 5 gallon buckets with dirt, and my brother up top, he was helping. He's pulling it up with a rope, dumping it out. I'd fill it up again. It was massive. And so then we built the concrete structure, the like 6 foot diameter manhole down there that we could backfill against and cover on the top, and then build the ramp over it. And but it was funny that the first thing I had to do was do that thing, and that was brutal. But I was motivated to get it done. And so
how old were you at this point?
So that I was guess I was 13.
I was
13. Yeah, I was 13. Okay. I was 14. I was just trying to think. I was 14 because it was after Viola in '84, so it was in '84.
All right.
And I was 14, but super motivated. I had a doghouse. The doghouse, I moved to the top of the hill and put a piece of plywood on that. Used the doghouse for like the starting gate to go down this hill. The ramp was against the house, the quarter pipe, and then eventually built a Camarillo. Remember the Camarillo ramp?
I see pictures.
So it was that sort of setup as how it turned out, where it was a downhill runway to about 8 feet of flat, and then up to an 8 foot quarter.
Amazing.
And then as I improved, I went further and further back into the woods because the doghouse was like, you can only go from that point down the hill and up to the quarter. You can only go so fast. So I went a little further back, and then further back. And as I was going back into the woods, there's a hill that's dropping off the other way. So it was like by the end, it was super sketchy. But it was like I had 12-foot 2x4s going vertical, holding the corners of this 3/4 inch plywood. Like no other like cross beams under it that you would normally build a deck or something. It was just like vertical posts supporting this thing, and like maybe a couple angled pieces here and there to prevent it from like racking. And we'd all we'd all kind of line up, go for, if you needed more speed, you'd have to go all the way back to the sketchy area. It was. But those are the photos I wish I had. I wish I took more of that stuff.
So that's the famous setup, right?
That was for me. Yeah, that was the big setup at my house. I mean, eventually, I turned that single quarter pipe into. I added an 8-foot wide half pipe next to it, so it on the quarter pipe side it was 16 feet wide, and then an 8-foot quarter on the other side of the half. So it was 16 feet of flat, and so it was 8 foot. So it was a 16-foot wide quarter, 8 foot tall, and then the other side was 8 foot wide.
Okay.
For that half, that's portion of the half pipe. It was really cool setup because it was the deck. It was against the house, and it was a 4-foot deep deck with the roof. Yes, the roof was like 1.5 feet, 2 feet taller than the deck. So you just sit up on the deck. If you're just hanging out, you just sit on the deck, or you sometimes we'd have like a dozen people sitting up on the roof just hanging out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, my mother was great about that. I mean, I couldn't. I mean, I know my wife would never go for that. Like, yeah, you have a quarter. There were windows on the side. Like we were covering up windows on the side of the house. There's a bedroom. You open the bedroom window and you see this back with quarter pipe. And then the bathroom. The bathroom also had that window was covered by some of the half pipe and stuff. And yeah, it was funny.
Unreal. I see a picture like maybe yesterday where it had like the background kind of was in the shot. And they had the big run.
Wendy Osborne. Yeah, the Wendy Osborne. Yeah. That was cool. And she came out one time. I think it was 87.
Yeah, it was later. Yeah.
And
how soon did you start being able to know that you could ride do high airs on that quarter?
Yeah, probably 85. Probably. Okay. I was we had a height pole like most people had back then. A height pole onto a car tire, and so like it was like 85. The 85, I was I couldn't clear the height pole in 85, but I was trying. I was probably 8 or 9 feet at 85, I think, something like that.
Okay. Oh, amazing. Who else was riding there? Anyone else that we'd know
of? Paul Delario. You recognize that name? He was sponsored by Haro at the time.
No, I don't. I may recognize the name, but I don't think I've seen him.
He rode in the Venice Beach comp in 84.
Okay.
It was 84. It was the end of 84. He was the reason I got sponsored. Really came through him because in 85 there was a Fitchburg AFA contest in Massachusetts, which was maybe an hour away from where I lived, and so Wilkerson was staying with Paul. And Paul told Ron about my ramp and about me being a good ramp rider. And so Ron came over to check the ramp out and watch me ride. And that was August 85. And so I can remember like it was yesterday. So when Ron pulled up, there's a ton of us hanging out riding. We all know Ron's coming over. So
okay.
Everyone's over, and he's here. We're like, we jump up on the deck and we're climbing up the roof. You're kind of peeking over. Holy shit, he is here! Look at him, there he is. It was a blast. And then he turns the corner, and he was cool as hell. And rode with him for the day. for whatever, I don't know how long, but and then at the contest the next day or two later, he asked me if I wanted to wear a Haro shirt for the comp, and of course I did. And so they sponsored me for there was only one more contest that I went to the rest of the year. It was the Manchester, New Hampshire contest, which is a pretty,
I know the one. Yeah,
that was a pretty big one.
Yeah,
it's definitely a huge one for around here, no doubt, because it was the Fitchburg contest was a national contest, but Dominguez, Wilkerson, and I think maybe one other pro from like California had come out for it. But the one in Manchester later that year was, everyone was there.
Yeah, it was star-studded, wasn't it, that one? There's video footage of that online. What was Haro your first sponsor, or you had another sponsor before that, like shop sponsor or anything? No.
So that was my first bike sponsor, but I was sponsored by a local bike shop. They gave me 15% off.
Okay.
And it was funny at that time. Like when Freestyle was first starting, like I think we're supposed to do shows and stuff, I guess. And so we're like, really, you see these magazines and these shows that are happening, you're like, all right, I guess we got to do some shows. And so we're putting like flyers up around town. We're going to do this show. Like this is in Canton. So one of the group that we have, the Sharon, Stoughton, and Canton, we're like, all right, we're going to do a show in Canton Center. It's like an abandoned lot that we're going to do this bike show. And we were like, I guess we need an announcer, some music. And we were just kind of winging it. And not a big turnout, but like a bunch of people's little sisters and stuff were there. And it was like,
awesome.
It was funny. Like we were the Rad Rats. That was the name of our team. So
okay.
These signs up on telephone poles that the show is going to be at 2:00 and on the Saturday.
No way.
But then we did do a more organized show eventually at this Norwood bike shop, and it maybe a few towns over where I was sponsored, and then I think that was related to getting a bit of a discount from them, was the fact that we brought in a couple of customers from that show.
Right. I don't know. Well, so that was for the shop, yeah. You was doing these shows.
Yeah, that was for the shop. Yeah, that's for the shop. The other one and the one in the center was definitely for us, for something that we thought, as a freestyler you're supposed to do these shows. So
okay.
yeah, funny. But I was sponsored. I was sponsored by Rockville.
Oh Rockville,
a year maybe or so, something like that. But it was when Spike Jones was working there, Root Girl. And so I would call down and they would give me a lot of times I would talk to Spike, and they just send me a pile of stickers and parts for probably a similar discount. It was a discounted thing, but I think it was like 15%, something like that. 15%.
All right. And how did you end up with the Rockville deal?
I don't know. I don't really know how that I don't know how that evolved into like
local.
No. Yeah.
Local hearsay or something. Yeah. But
it might have been. It might have been like, someone suggested I call them, and
okay.
Thinking back to how you got things done back then is kind of hard to put the pieces together for me. like even like knowing about a contest and where they are and how to get, it was a lot of them were magazines. You read about them in magazines and just talking to people, but it's easy for you to miss something.
But you end up, I find,
if you're not paying attention.
A lot of that stuff you end up with, if one person knew, then another group knew, and then another group knew, and it just kind of was it was enthusiasm and will based. So
very organic. For sure.
And we were so enthusiastic that it would just happen. We'd just go, So whatever it was, but so you're on now. So then you're on Haro, like you're fully on Haro. This is like your Wilkerson, because I didn't notice before that you had like a very Wilkerson look in I think it's that Manchester contest that you were talking about.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah,
you mentioned. Yeah, yeah.
never
You
noticed
mentioned
that before.
the questions. Yeah, and when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. I didn't. It was. I know that he was definitely one of my favorite riders, and
You could tell, yeah.
And so I'm sure it was conscious, but I don't remember. I don't remember. Like as I think now, I don't remember like making sure that I had the Wilkerson look. But I know that I loved his. I love the white mags and the blue bike.
Blue, yeah.
Yeah, like I'll never forget the photo of him at Mike Buff's ramp doing an invert with it's just like a picture perfect invert with the blue bike white mags that I think I know I had that picture on my wall, but like it was just like
on the half pipe.
Yeah, it was a Mike Buff's on Mike Buff's blue half pipe there. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I think
because the bars you had like the sort of, I think they're red line. Were they red line bars? Like with a sort of 4-piece bars as well, which he used to use. That's what made it really.
I don't know about that. Possibly.
I think you had some sort of width, like a triangular shape similar to his. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I did have those for a little while. Yeah, like the red line. I know one of my bikes did have the red line handlebars. But I thought when I got into Haro, I had the blue Haro bars that were just like 2-piece bars. But
okay.
But I did have those for a little while, maybe before Haro, but might have blended into Haro a bit too, because it was like I when I first got sponsored. I was sponsored by Haro, and they started paying me. I think I don't think I was getting paid in '85 at the end of '85, but I was. They gave me free. They set me up with free all the gear and stuff, things like that. But I think the start of '86 is when they started paying me.
Cool.
And sending me to contests and things like that. And there were more contests, I guess, in '86 than prior years, I think, at least ones I knew about anyway.
And that was like you were riding a Haro before that, right? Before you were sponsored by Haro, you was riding a Haro.
No, I was riding a red line. The long red line with the double top tube that wrapped around the head tube.
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah, the 22 or something it was called, wasn't it?
Yes,
Haro 22. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah. Super long.
And how was the Haro? Like that was like a dream come true, I guess, right? You found a Wilkerson, you end up on Haro.
Yeah. It was, and the Haro Sport, I love that bike. Just fit me perfect. It felt like, but yeah, it was so intimidating going to the contest and traveling with these guys. In 86, so it was so like Tony Murray, Rich Seeger, Brian Blyther, Nori, Dennis McCoy, Ron Wilkerson, all those guys. And I'm part of that crew. The first contest I went to was with all those guys was Tulsa, Oklahoma. Most of the guys were at Manchester, but it was just it. And I was sponsored by Haro, but it was like right in my backyard kind of thing. Manchester's near where I live too, so it was like it was a different feel than flying through a contest and
far off
with these guys, and it was very intimidating. But yeah, it was a dream come true. Yeah, it was incredible.
Who was in the class that you were riding in that time period?
Rich Seeger, Dennis McCoy was in my class, and Tony Murray. Mark McGlynn, he rode for Haro.
Yeah,
he's rode for so I'm trying to think when they broke it into like 16 to 18 expert, and then because remember it was like 14 to 16 and then 16 to 18 or something, right? So I was 16 And so I might, but I don't know. Like I know in '87, like Rick Molinturno, was on the team. We toured together.
Okay.
But like in Tulsa, it was Mark McGlynn, Tony Murray, Rich Seeger.
All right. And what did you like riding contests? Or
No, I mean, I enjoyed the whole process. I really did, but when it came time to do your run, I was pretty horrifying. I was
okay.
I would get incredibly nervous and just panicked, you know. But the whole I love the whole process, you know. But yeah, it was pretty nerve wracking. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. You probably get mixed answers for that, I guess, right? But
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
because sometimes it just depends on the day as well, doesn't it? Like, some days it just feels good, and other days it's like you just don't even want to do it. So, like, yeah. I tell you what, I also noticed was in like there was some video. They were listed as 86, right? And you were doing like full no-handers, like right out no-handers.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was anyone else doing them at that point that year.
So no one on quarter.
Not like that. Not like that. Like,
yeah.
People like this at a skate park or something, you know, like
So that
Jeff Carroll or whatever.
Jeff Carroll. Yeah, so he was doing them in the skate park, and then and so I learned them. I learned them on the quarter pipe at my at my house,
at home,
and got them good enough to do them at Columbus, Ohio contests. And I don't know if you saw a video. Did you see a video or photos?
Video. So the video I saw
a video because I know that they like the photo from that Wendy took looked pretty awesome, like that from that contest. But I'm telling you that I could, and it looked stretched, but it was like so fast because I definitely was not comfortable with them. But she stood on the side of the ramp let me try that a bunch of times to so she can get the timing right, you know, because I was just taking them off really fast. But yeah, I was able to get my arm stretched, but at that time, but not really, not for very long, that's for sure.
Okay. So the video I saw was, obviously you'll see it when this comes out, or I'll send it to you later probably, but you hit the quarter.
Yeah.
And you like, woof, and then you ride and you do another one and it's like, shoo.
Oh, really?
That one? Yeah. Yeah, so you had a second try.
Yeah, as I know, I was very aware that no one was doing them.
Okay, so you knew. Yeah, I thought you was going to say, "Oh, I didn't know." Yeah, but that's
oh no, I definitely knew that. I was proud of myself for learning that. And
I don't think that's not very well known. That knowledge.
You know what it's like? It's like I don't know if I deserve really credit for that trick because Jeff Carroll. He was. It was. You know, it was like. I know where in the skate park he was doing it, but it was. And maybe you could argue it was a little different than a quarter pipe, but it is like. I was so proud of the fact that I was doing them on quarter pipes like that, and I knew that no one else was doing them that I had seen. But I never felt like I invented anything there. But I knew that it was I knew that it was a new thing.
It was new, But the way that you figured it out though, like so the Jeff Carroll one, obviously I've probably seen maybe one video clip and a picture, but like it seemed he was taking his hands off. He's definitely did the first one, but he didn't figure out quite how to do it. If you, do you know what I mean? Like you've got a structure. Like right, this is going to work. I'm going to get up front, put this leg under the bar, lean
on it. That's what I did. Yeah, you're exactly right. Like I did have to figure that out because I do remember some close calls on the quarter at my house doing it, and like really inching my way towards it, and then like the knee's got to go under the grip and all this. I know it's done a little differently now, and like even without putting anything on. But at the time, that was how I figured out a way for me to do it. It was a process, and it was something that I was pretty psyched to be able to do at Columbus, that FA comp. But it's a lot like the tail whip, which I know you want to talk about, where at some point, like it was kind of a trick already, but I maybe changed it enough that you could do it on a quarter pipe or a jump or something. You
found the formula to it, which is the same as the no-hander. Like, because then after you did it, then that's how other people figure, this is how you do it, right? So tricks are always like, they always evolve, but like, and I think they look better when people used to do them like the way that you, Matt, Dave Mirror did them the same. Like, with a one knee under that bar, like with the grip, I think looks so nice on a vert.
Yeah, Mirror did that. Yeah, it's funny. You don't see it done that way as much. But
now it's kind of evolved separately into something else.
It's definitely a choice. It's definitely a choice because there's no doubt that the anyone could do it. The no-handers that they do now, the way they position their hands, they just choose to go that way, and that's the way. It's however they prefer it. It feels for them, but they could. It's not like it takes any more trickery for them to like move their hands out the other way. But because I don't know. Maybe some they are hunched way over the bars, and so maybe they are kind of locking in differently on some of these guys. But
well, now most people who do it, they hold the front triangle with their two knees, right?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
That's which is, but it doesn't look as good to me anyway. Yeah, no, I'll take the other ones. Yeah. And then what other sort of tricks can you remember?
It's funny
in early too, because I've got like a list. Let me just do you the list, and we'll go back again because the list actually comes a little bit later. But we might as well just go through it because we're in that zone now, and then we'll tackle the tail whip a bit later on. So I have turn down fakie. Was that you?
It's funny. Like so many of these tricks are going to be like, they started with so and so, but I like made it a little different. I don't think I don't. I'm sure there are some that I like, maybe someone with a clean piece of paper and maybe name on it. But a lot of these are like, well, he did this, and so I did it a little bit more different.
Okay.
That was Dominguez. Dominguez would do these kick out fakies.
Okay.
He would go up and he would kick his wheel out and cross the bars a little bit, like maybe to 90 degrees or something like that. But he would kick it out. He would kick it out, then straighten his bike up again, and land fakie. And so I just practiced doing that, and because at the time I could already do look downs, just like Mark McGlynn's trick, and so I just got to the point where I was doing just full kick down, look down, full turn downs, and then pull the bike back and land fakie. But so that started as like Dominguez's whatever fakie that was that he was doing, which so I don't. It was. Was
he kicking it the same way as what you was kicking it, like into the back foot?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
I would assume so. It'd be weird.
I think so.
I would think so.
I think so. I'll have to go back and look, but it definitely. I knew that if I'm going to go to like a look down position or 180 to the bars like that, it would have to be. I felt like it had to be
that way.
I have to kick it out the direction of to my right.
Yeah.
To my right would be the direction of I would do a turn down.
Yeah.
And then it would be easier to bring the back wheel in under me coming back. But
because that was another video that I saw. I was like, wow, this is early for that, and that sort of sparked that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun trick because you could do. I remember Spike took these photos. That it was for a GT ad. He had a ladder positioned in the roll in over at the Enchanted ramp. He had a ladder between the roll in and the flat bottom, and he'd stay on the ladder. And I was doing turn down like alley-oop turn down fakies over the channel.
Yeah, okay.
Because that trick, like a lot of tricks, you could it just felt comfortable doing them alley-oop, and it's like I'm patting myself on the back here for doing like a 4 foot like alley-oop over the channel. And you look at some of the shit they do nowadays, huh? Like
yeah, like, but the path's different.
It is. Say it again.
It's a different path.
I guess, yeah. I guess
when you're the person who walked up that path first, or whatever, like whatever way. When you're early to walk that path is not trodden yet.
Yeah, it felt like a big deal at the time, but it's nuts. Like you look at some of Bestwick's, like 540 alley-oop over like 25 feet or whatever. Yeah, it's nuts.
It's the whole distance of the ramp. Yeah, and this let me tick a few more of these off. So. The pendulum, was that you?
No.
Okay.
That was Matt, I think.
Okay. Yeah. The fork-it stroke Armstrong Air.
Yeah, that was me, but and that was when Wendy Osborne came to the house, and I think someone just yelled it out. Yeah, dude, put your feet on the front pegs or something. It was just as a joke kind of thing, but it does look kind of cool in photos.
Yeah.
But and it just feels like an incredibly goofy trick when you do it. It just feels really gross, kind of like it just doesn't feel right. It does look kind of cool in the photo.
It looks dangerous. It looks dangerous now. Like at the time, I didn't really pay much attention to it, but when looking at it the other day, I was like,
it was definitely we were just goofing around, but. People did like to see it at that because after like at shows, people would yell it out and stuff like that. And I think it was mainly in photo. I wish I could remember, but I wonder if they would yell it out and then I'd do it and then no one would ever yell it out again. Anyone this summer because I thought it looked pretty good live. It was in photos. It looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
We've got a Patreon page, so if you could show us any support, we'd be most grateful. The link's below. A lot of work goes into these shows, so anything you could do would be much appreciated. Thank you.
But but one trick I thought you might bring up was the toothpick. Was it the toothpick on the front peg? Which was Scott Carroll. Scott Carroll do a toothpick, but he wouldn't land in it. He would start there and he would drop in.
Jason Ellis, mate. Jason Ellis. Who was one of Scott Carroll's riding buddies, he did it first, yeah.
Oh.
But he rode with Scott Carroll, so.
Oh, because I saw Scott do it.
Yeah.
Or I thought I saw, maybe it was Jason. I thought it was
those guys were like, were riding buddies, so like, yeah.
Okay. And then I did the, so then I landed on the front peg and then dropped in, but I could only do it with a grip. I put a grip on my peg so I wouldn't slide.
Oh, okay.
And then I do it maybe 3 times. I'd wear through the grip, and then it would start sliding, and I couldn't really do it anymore. And then Matt figured out a way to, he figured out you got to land steep enough that you don't slide. But that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if that was probably before the ice pick. If you saw Ellis do it or Scott Carroll.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah. Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, no. I saw it. That's where I got it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I saw him do it first. I didn't do it. Yeah, I didn't do it at all. And then I saw him do it.
No, but if you've got into it and out of it, that's the whole trick, right? Not half.
But after I saw him do that, I'm like, oh, let me try that. And now let me try to see if I can land in it and go in. Which he may have done that. Maybe he did that too, where he landed in it and dropped in as well. But I don't know.
I interviewed Ellis. We talk about it a little bit on one of the episodes. Yeah. So
yeah.
But what I'm saying is like the ice pick came after, I think. So you was landing on the ice pick is on the back.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking toothpick. Toothpick is on the front peg.
Toothpick is on the front. You're right. Yeah. But everyone thinks that the toothpick came second, but not really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's good to hear. I like that. Yeah, I like that story.
I'm not claiming anything on that trick. Like if I get credit for it at all, I'm just saying it was another example of me taking.
Yeah. No, I like. Yeah.
Where he did.
It makes sense.
And tweaking it a little bit.
And well, hold on then, because I've got another one. I've got the no foot turn down, which I always, for about 30 years, I assumed was just a mistake, and your feet came off when you was doing a turn down.
Oh yeah. So that was Matt was there that day too. We were at the Enchanted ramp, and we were just messing around with different turn down variations, and could never really get it fully clicked. Like that photo that is that a lot of people have asked me about is I don't think I could go further than that. It never felt dangerous really, because you could just I kept my bottom bracket incredibly tight, so my pedals were always like be in the same spot. Yeah. So I turn down, bring the bike back under me with just with your feet or whatever, your legs, and the pedals were there. So but I never really felt like it was something you could fully click or
crank,
feel yeah.
It's still
I didn't do it a ton.
Wild looking picture.
It does look cool though. What's that?
It's a wild looking picture. Like it just
I love that photo.
It looks it just looks like catastrophic. Like what is going to happen? Like
we were messing around, and I remember we were messing around with like standing on the seat post, like 1 foot on the pedal.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't seen any photos of that, but I think from that day, I think Matt dialed that in pretty good. Where later on, where he was doing them, pretty consistently. But what's that?
And also the one-handed turn down, the kind of like that was you as well, right? There was no one else doing that. Like
and that was another one where it was could never really fully get it fully clicked, but that was a fun trick to do.
It looks. I do that a lot. I think it looks good that at the point that the photos were taken. I think if you went further, it wouldn't look as good. It kind of all works like that. Out. Like I like the look of that.
Yeah. It's a cool feeling trick too. So I like that one.
Yeah. And the other thing was, which I didn't know, but it was a nothing, right?
Yeah. That was I had those pretty good, but no, that's Ron's trick for sure.
That's Ron. All right, there. Sorry,
Ron Wilkerson. Yeah,
but you did it different to him.
I don't know if I don't.
You look more like you were still in a no-hander. He kind of.
I tried to. I tried to. I tried to get. I tried to get my left foot. I'm turning left to right. I tried to get my left leg under the grip a bit. So I was trying to keep something in contact.
Yeah, it looked
with the bike the way I did them.
There's that sequence, and it just looks like pretty like it all works. Ron. Like just like
that was at the
crazy.
At the Vista ramp, in California. Ramp. Yeah, I spike shot that. I remember that. I did a shitload of those that day. But it was I had him pretty dialed for a time there, but again, like not like the guys today. It's like this.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. They just hold it. They just hold it. Nothing attached to the bike at all.
No contact. Just
throw a bar spin on the way back in after they grab it.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's wild now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one-handed tail whip was another one that I I didn't even realise. I saw some video.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was one that took some practice. You know, it was you just had to get your timing right, and when you take your hand off, that like you can't. Once the bike starts moving, then you take your hand off instead of thinking you can still pump the handlebars a little bit with one hand. You can't. So
yeah,
that took a bit of practice. But yeah, that was a fun trick.
Was there ever a picture of that in a mag?
Yeah. There was one from Colorado Springs contest in '89, I think. Yeah,
all right.
there was.
I don't think I've got that pic.
Yeah, I'll send that. I can send that to you.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, back to the normal schedule.
Sorry.
It's all right. So we're still like riding for Haro and riding AFA. And then did you at one point here you end up going to the Enchanted ramp or move into the Enchanted ramp for a period of time? Yeah. Was that a little bit later?
So I was sponsored by Haro through '87, and that was towards the end of '87 is when I got hooked in with Mickey Conti.
Okay,
you asked. You want to talk about her, and so she had come up with a deal for Dennis McCoy and I to ride for Huffy, and so we were to leave Haro for start of '88, and we were going to get we would design our own bikes. We would get paid a lot more money than I'd be getting. I mean, a lot more money than I'd be getting paid from Haro, and still get to go to all the contests, and there would be some shows, but it just seemed like a lot more flexibility in a lot of things, and like a really good deal for both of us. Mainly better deal for Dennis for sure, like financially, but even for me, it was impressive. So, Haro offered me a really good deal too, for that upcoming year, but I was kind of already committed to making the move, and at the last minute, the Huffy deal fell through at the start of '88, and so my plans had to change. But at the start of '88, I was planning to go to move in with Kevin Martin and a couple other guys in the Enchanted ramp. Like I had set it up. I had talked to Ron about, he had the house at the Enchanted ramp. He and his wife were moving around the corner, but he'd rent it out, and I could find a few more guys to rent it with, and then so last minute, I think it was a few days before I was supposed to leave with Kevin Martin to drive across. He was from Connecticut, so the next state over.
Okay.
We drive out to California, and so I had to bail, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going for it, Johnson. And so he went through with it. He was able to find out a replacement, and he moved out there. And once I ended up getting sponsored by GT at the end of '88, and I moved out once I had a sponsor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they prefer that I move out there too. It all worked out great, but
yeah.
And so I ended up moving in there and living with a bunch of good guys. But yeah, Kevin Martin and Lee Reynolds was one of the guys, so I'm sure you know.
I know Lee.
But yeah, there was tons of dudes out there. It was a blast. Yeah, a lot of riders, a bunch of skaters, a bunch of BMX guys, right in the middle of everything. So it was cool.
Yeah, no, it looked amazing. Yeah. Where did Mickey Conti come from? Like, what was her story?
So she was she already had like a few of the guys do some stuff for her, like some shows and a small tour or two. Like I think Eddie Fiola had done some stuff, but I don't think any of them were like under contract with her. Like like I ended up signing a contract with her for a year or something like that. But so she was already. I don't know how she linked up initially with those guys to do some of the shows, like with, like some yogurt company bike shows.
Okay.
That was like, so Matt Hoffman was involved in that. Eddie Fiola, and that was just for I think maybe a couple of weeks or something. And then so she was. I talked to Dennis about what's this all about? What's Mickey Conti all about? She's my agent, and she can, we should talk to her if you're interested in trying to get some you can talk about it if you want to get into trying to do more shows or more get more sponsors, things like that. As an agent, it's she's worth talking to. And so I approached her about. I think I approached her. She didn't approach me, but about like what if it would make sense for me to do something like that. And I just had a talk with her, and it seemed like it made sense at the time. In retrospect, it was not the right decision, but
okay.
Yeah, it was.
And what was the Adidas thing? Did she have links to Adidas as well?
Yeah, she did. I mean, that's it, but I didn't get paid from them. I found out later. Dennis was getting paid. I wasn't.
Okay.
I got. Yeah, he told me. Yeah, I found that out much later. Too much. Way too far later that he told me that shit. But but yeah, tons of clothes and shoes and things like that I got from them. But and I mean, it wasn't all bad with her, but so there was we did this European tour, went to a bunch of contests, and like the Manchester comp, I went to that. She
to that,
things like that. Yeah. But overall, I mean, it definitely led to the end of me and Haro. So
okay.
Yeah. So but it was ultimately my choice. I could have said no, and I don't remember exactly what the implications were if I did say no, even though she had worked this deal with Huffy. But it was there was an out for me for sure. I just
did you have to wait for the contract to run out, or did you?
No, I might have just had to pay her. Like even if I didn't go with Huffy, I think I just would have had to pay her percentage.
Oh, okay.
But I still would have been able to, even though she had nothing to do with the negotiation with Haro, I would have had to pay her a percentage. But
yeah,
it was my choice. But it's still a bummer that it panned out the way it did.
Yeah. It's quite mysterious. Like nobody really knows much about the Mickey Conti thing. Like,
yeah,
I've heard it being bound about like on a few different things, and everyone's kind of like bit woman of mystery. Like,
she's a weird figure. Yeah, she really did. Yeah, I don't. I don't know what she's up to. The last time I talked to her was I guess 89 or something like that. But
do you know if she had other sports personalities that she looked after, or
no, she
weird,
didn't. So
even more mysterious. Yeah, I assumed that was it. Like she had some sort of like, I don't know, a tennis player or something, or a basketball player or whatever.
Yeah, she's making a living off of a couple of BMX guys in like '88. Yeah.
Yeah, weird, man.
Right.
So and that's like how you ended up on GT was.
Well, so right. So that's right. I went out to the King of Vert finals in Irvine, California. Like but I had to. I had to pay my way to get out there, and Kevin. I heard Kevin Martin tell a story recently where he says he paid my airfare to get out there for this contest. Like maybe I paid him back. I don't remember that part. I just know that I listened to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so So yeah, he's a great guy. But I somehow I got my way to the contest and talked to Magoo and GT about a sponsor, and once I got that worked out, then I went back, got my. Actually, I went back, and Kevin Martin said he'd fly out and he'd drive back to California with me, and so I picked him up at the airport, and he said, "All right, John, so we have 48 hours to get to California. I have to be at work, Friday morning or something at the movie theater where he worked." So we hightailed it out to California, 48 hours. It's pretty funny. I had plans to stop all over the place in the drive out, but he didn't tell me until I picked him over the airport. I thought that's what we were doing. It's like, oh no, wait, John, right? It's driving straight through. Yeah, it's funny. But that was great. That was a great experience. I wish I hung on a little longer out there in some ways. That I was only out there for a year, really.
Okay.
And then came back, and then the last year that I rode, I lived out here, so it was much harder to stay fresh. With I moved back to Stoughton, my hometown, and wasn't really many guys riding. There were no one riding close to me, so I had to travel to practice with anybody or practice by myself, and that's just it's not as fun for most people, but for me, I wasn't always super motivated to. It was more like practice. Is what it felt like. Going to
effort.
But so that was so that was 1990 when I moved back.
Okay. Let me just go back to the tail whip air, because I didn't really ask you all the in-depths that I'd like to ask you about that. But so the tail whip air, I can give you my when I first heard about the tail whip air, because I remember it. One of my friends, we was riding actually through London, and we stopped at this petrol station, and one of my friends, he was friends with my friend Gary. He's no longer with us, but he's been gone quite a while. But he was good friends with Greg Giot, right?
Oh, right. Love Greg.
Greg had heard. I think maybe Greg was living in America by this point. He was living in America, I think, maybe just fresh in America. And Gary, my friend, said, "Yeah, Joe Johnson, he's doing tail whip airs," and we were like, we just could not figure it out. Like how we were like, we like collectively disbelieved it. Like, no,
really?
There's probably like 6 or 7 of us, like right on a Sunday riding somewhere, and we just collectively was like, well, you can't do that. That's an impossibility. Yeah. So we had to wait for the sequence to come out.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, you've got to wait and wait and wait.
Yeah. So like, obviously we'd seen like the sequence of Dominguez doing the kind of alley-oop fly out sort of version that he did. But that was all that was distant past, and we couldn't even recall seeing that probably. So, but that's where it started, right? That must have been where you drew inspiration for that, I would assume.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people had, I think. I mean, there were like Mitch Collins. He was a guy from Florida. He was trying them, and I heard later that he had landed one. But I know that he was trying them back in like 86, right. I think. But I was doing like these tail whip fly out to like ninja drop thing. It was kind of a goofy trick, but it had the similar.
It's a motion. You know that you can spin the bike, don't you?
Yeah, you're kind of more vertical. You're standing up, but and so then I just started like playing with it on a quarter pipe in Germany. It was on tour. It was just after the Tizer contest in Manchester.
Okay.
In Manchester, '88, and we were riding this quarter in Germany all day long in this warehouse, it just had a really big transition, but and it was just it was a really wide ramp with a really big transition that you could fool around with different like lip tricks and other tricks like that on. I felt like, and so I just started playing with it under coping, just almost like jumping up and doing like the tail of fly out to ninja drop, except doing it below coping. Like I would be kind of vertical and like land with a foot, 1 foot on the ramp and 1 foot on the pedal, just like like on the frame or whatever.
Like foot plant version.
Yeah, right. Like a fast plant, like a foot plant sort of deal. Yeah. And then I just kept working on it, leaning in further and further. And then, and I eventually worked it to where it was, I could start trying to go higher and actually try to land onto a pedal and ride away. But at the time I was really just playing around with it. And I don't know what, like exactly why I evolved from like that particular day to try to start playing around with it again. But I wasn't the only one thinking about it. But probably like the way the technique or the way you would go at it, hadn't been figured out, obviously, because you think about it, like you said, you guys had heard that it was done, and so you're in your mind, you're trying to think how to do it, and so you could go off and you could try to do it, and it might be like a downside whip or something, like you're like, who knows what you would have come up with.
We couldn't figure out so you go up and then like we couldn't figure out how you did it off of the bike, straight off the lip, rather than like we was thinking, so you're going to do an air, but so we're already in the wrong place, to be able to do it. So
that's funny. Yeah. And I ended up doing it with having 1 foot land on the C post or the C clamp, 1 foot on the pedal, and and it's, and I've done them to pedals. I've gone up knowing I'm going to try to land on pedal, but I would always land flat bottom. I was never able to get it to the point where, you see the guys do it now. It's just pedal to pedal, and they land smooth. And the way Matt was doing it, pedal to pedal. But that's the way I always did it, and it worked for me. It's fun. Like I look at some of the contest runs I had, and I'm landing 1 foot on the C post, 1 foot on the pedal, and I'm coming down from pretty high, and you can't really even tell that I have my foot on the C post. So it was.
Sometimes it goes on.
It wasn't the best way to do it. Say it again.
It goes on like some of them. You catch it. Like,
and it goes right to the pedal. The pedal's right there, practically.
Yeah, and it's just instantly on the pedal. Like, and you're airing the next wall pretty high. Like,
but it was clearly not. It was clearly that's the type of thing that I would normally try to clean up. Like where I would I would see an issue with. I would clean that kind of stuff up over time, but I never figured that one out. But to get it to where I could land smooth with both on the pedals.
So how long did that take for you to like figure that out? Because once it seemed like it was, you had it was just like almost looked like every time you tried it, you pulled it in a contest that I'd seen.
So the first time I landed it at my house was 2 weeks before the Wayne, New Jersey contest, where I did that one in the contest.
Okay,
you made that video, and it was almost like a switch where you start. Most of them you'd land now after that. After you land the first one, because before that I was doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them and not landing them, and then then you kind of something clicks and then you can land almost every one of them. But it wasn't quite like that. I did because at my house I felt like a majority of them I would land, but when I got to the contest, I wasn't able to pull any in practice,
All right.
and I did a couple in practice, and then at the in my run, I my foot missed the pedal and it went to the front. It went into the front wheel, and like I hyperextended my toe, like bent. My toe bent quite a bit when it landed in the front tire on the first. That got in the middle of my run, and it was. It didn't hurt, but my calf was all numb and my toe was kind of a little banged up, and I was like, "Fuck! Oh, this is not happening." And then it. But I'm glad I was able to. I hope I'm not sounding dramatic, but I remember. When that did happen, like when my toe like flexed way back and I got this shock, like it was just my foot was all numb, my calf was all numb when that happened. As I'm riding away, I'm like, God damn it! And then, because I was running out of time, my run was, I was short on time because I did pull it, but it was right at the end of my run, so which was, I was pretty fired up when that happened. But yeah, so at that time, no, I didn't really have them locked in, but I feel like after that contest, so shortly right after that, I was. Pretty much every one of them. It was
all the I think all the ones that I watched on the videos from the last few days. I think you pulled them all in the contest. Yeah,
I did. I crashed. I did crash, but some. But yeah, overall, I had them pretty locked in. I felt like.
Was there other people watching you go through this process and like figuring out that this is going to be possible?
Yeah, it was mainly the guys I ride with. My guys I grew up riding with at my house. Those are the guys that were, those are the guys that kind of root me on and critiquing some of the things that they saw that I was doing. And yeah, my friend Brian Curran, he was the one that like there's I don't want to go down. There was a bunch of little tricks that. I felt like I hadn't seen anyone do some of these tricks, but it was mainly him. Like, hey, try a no-footed X up, and things like that. Like, but I don't know. There was some I might have thought of on my own, like the one-handed turn down, maybe. But there was a lot of people screaming out stuff too. Back then there was a million. There was so many things that hadn't been. Done anyway.
Yeah, but it's not just it's the person who does it though, right? It's not the person who thinks it. I think anyway. Like
yeah. But
and what was the like? How was that? Obviously, that was received as like the impossible move. Like I remember when we saw that sequence, and we were just like, no way. And there was like suddenly things became that were impossible became like a bit more possible. The boundaries opened up a bit more,
Yeah,
it's a new thing had happened. Like,
yeah, I'd say it was. It did catch on. It did catch on, but like Matt learned it pretty quickly. I can't remember how many more contests, but that was definitely a trick that came in handy in the like the near term contests after that, like because people are trying to learn it, and I'm like, all right, I got that gives you a couple extra points on the leaderboard. That was funny because I wasn't really doing 540s, or at least I did some at some contests, but if I did them, they were never really very high. So the fact that I was able to do a tail whip and no one was doing them yet, at least for a couple more contests.
Yeah.
That was helpful, but then like Gary, it was a bunch of people learned them, but now it's a staple, like for people that people do. But at the time, I can't remember how many people were doing them towards the end. Because it was a cool trick, and I think that if people definitely. Appreciated it, but I
think that now they don't look as good now either. Like The new guys. So? No, it's like, so obviously there's some people that can still make them look good, but for the most part, like the ones that you see are like people that have learned them into foam pits, and they can just, it looks totally emotionless, and the bike's going around, they're going to get back on. They don't really they land with their feet worse because they land with them like
next to each other on
the crank nuts. Like on the nubs of the crank, like on the spindle.
Yeah,
and it just looks. They've ruined it. Like it used to, because it was always caught late. When they're caught late.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
and then you've landed.
Yeah, is it going to make it or not? Yeah,
they're amazing. But like now, it's just like they go around so quick.
Like the high C post, high C posts, and I mean, one piece cranks maybe would help make it a little more difficult too. Maybe you're right.
Oh man. But yeah, a pure groundbreaking trick. Yeah. And then like, what about? I saw you when you was in the GT days. Excuse me. You were grinding. You were bash guard grinding, but it kind of turned into like a crank arm slide.
Yeah.
Which.
Well, it was probably more like a pedal at the. It might have been more like a pedal grind at the
It was like the way people do it now, like on it looked like the crank arm and the pedal, which is
this was at it was at the it was at the contest that they had in Paris at Bercy Stadium. In 89 and 90, that ramp was great. It was like there was a skate side and a BMX side, well, the lower side and a higher side, and I think it was a 10 foot tall ramp with 10 foot radius, so it went right to vert, or even a little bit under vert, but it had this massive coping, like 4-inch diameter steel coping, right. And back then I had, the pegs were so small back then, like 2 inches, a 2-inch peg, and the tubing, the coping was massive. So I go to try to grind the pegs, and it would just, and I had these massive pedals from these GT pedals. They were like double cage, and I'd land up and I just like grinding on the pedal right across, and it was just like even faster. It felt even faster than the peg. So it was just like, I think peg grinds were happening at the time. I don't know, but it just was like you go to land up.
New, yeah, they were quite new though. Yeah.
Yeah. So now that was more an accidental, like more of like a opportunistic sort of grind up. It's like massive coping, big pedals, and that was my only option. And I never really got great at like the alley-oop grinds or things like that.
All right, they kind of came a bit later, really, as well. Like people figured them out a bit later.
Yeah.
Even though there was a contest with like Craig, he was doing them at that Woodward contest.
Yeah,
and that was really early for him. Yeah, he did like an alley-oop.
89. Oh my.
Yeah.
Hang on one sec. Maybe like 89, 90, there was some peg grind stuff. I remember like, and I was the one where your front wheel's up on the deck and the rear peg is grinding along, whatever that
feeble.
Is. The feeble, yeah.
But that's what I was looking at. I was looking at you like, so you was bash guard sliding on a vert ramp, and your bash guard was like, it just comes off quite early, and then you're on the crank arm and the pedal.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I was on about. Like, so it was almost like
yeah. Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't. And what contest that was? I don't really remember.
I think that might have been the Woodward one. I was looking at. I thought.
Oh yeah. Maybe you're right. Yeah.
I think I was looking at a sequence of it in black and white, maybe.
Yeah. I was trying to do the bash guard grind. I'm pretty sure, and I probably just missed and went up. or miss the bottom peg, or the rear peg, and it slipped to the bash guard or something like that. I think.
It looks fully intentional, like you're just standing on it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, a lot of that, because I know like the feeble grind. I was doing those in this. Yeah, I was doing those pretty early on, but I think a lot of people were doing a lot of different grinds that. Like you slip off, you try to do one type of grind and you end up landing another type of grind and it ends up being a trick or something. But because I remember that coming up, like, oh, I was the first to do this or that, and I didn't want to get involved in the conversation because I don't know. Those are tough. It can get uncomfortable. That's why I don't like to. I didn't mean to take any claim for anything I said earlier, by the way. Like,
I like all that stuff. It's all good, man. Like,
it's so tricky. I mean, I'm proud of myself for these, like the tail whip thing and all that. Like, whether or not, I invented it or someone else did it. It's like all I know is like, I'm happy that I was able to do it.
Yeah, I don't think you can run from that one. I think you're stuck with that one.
Yeah.
What did you ever ride any of the 2-hip Meet the Streets?
I did. I rode one in the one that they did in Woodward.
Okay.
In '89, and I always felt I was pretty well suited for those contests, but like the one in '89, I ended up doing a wall ride. I came up short, and I ended up getting a flat like midway through my run. I think I did make it might have made it to the finals or something like that. I made it past the semis or whatever.
Okay.
And then there was the one in San Diego in '90 that. That I ended up getting one of the worst concussions I've ever had. Like a couple of days before, I've had a few concussions, and they were always like, I could shake it off the next day or two, but that one was much worse. I was still okay with, maybe a week later, but the Meet the Street contest was just a few days later, and I just sat on the sidelines and watched.
Yeah.
I was I would have loved to ride in that, but those were great contests. Like,
yeah, they look fun.
That one in San Diego, it was right when like NWA had come out, the band, and it was like in this area that was like a mall and like it was like a public area where there were like people walking the streets and that was on, like, he had that on the loop, the NWA, just like, and at the time, I mean, that's like really pretty vulgar shit. Yeah. Like, maybe by today's standards, it's not as horrible, but at the time, it was like Ron was just he was the best. But he's just like it was so loud, and that NWA album was just playing all day long. I was laughing my ass off. It was comical. and then I rode the one down at Brooklyn Banks. I did okay at that.
I thought you was. Yeah, I thought I'd seen that. Yeah.
And but that contest is even crazier. That was some of the stuff Ron pulled off about that there wasn't. He didn't pull any permits at all. He just pulled up and had a contest. You know that? Yeah.
Because there was one that they did like in '90 where they just did it down the street. Have you seen the footage of that? Where they've got a jump box and that was
in New York.
In New York, yeah.
Oh, I think that's the one, right under the Brooklyn Banks, under the.
No, there's another one after that, yeah. Where
really?
There's Pete Augustine, DMC does the 720 over the box. You seen that footage?
Yeah, I thought that was
Brooklyn Banks is the year before, I think.
Okay.
Where Volker 360's off the wall.
Yeah.
That's two separate ones. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But I know, so I've ridden in some of those, and those are great.
Yeah, they looked a lot of fun. But that's when, could you see like the decline of BMX coming when that sort of era, like 89, 90? Like how close could you see that coming? Like,
yeah, I could. Well, I knew that. I knew that. Yeah, it was in 88. It was a lot of people that lost his sponsor. And then it was through 90 and 91. It was kind of like stable, but like, yeah, it definitely wasn't like 87. It was like a slow decline. But then in the end of 1990, when GTS, they said they wouldn't renew my contract unless I moved back out to California.
Oh, okay.
And I had just blown my knee out. I tore my ACL skiing. I blew it out skiing, but prior to that, in '87, as I was staying with Brian Blyther, and I was just doing a manual. We just out street ride, and I was doing a manual down the street going too fast, and I slipped back, landed sitting on my foot as I'm going pretty quick, popped my knee. Just thought it was a really bad sprain, and I ended up having to fly home. I was supposed to be out there for a few weeks, and I ended up having to fly home because of this bad knee injury or bad sprain. I thought I just let it heal up, and but it turns out I tore my ACL, and I only tore my ACL. It wasn't like I didn't tear anything else, so that's why I was able to like get by without it. Is what the doctors think, because like when I finally blew it out skiing at the end of 1990, they're like, "Oh, do you have a bad knee injury years ago? Your ACL is just two stumps because you must have tore it. You tore it a long time ago." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I thought that was the bad sprain." And so anyway, I had this knee that was all fucked up, and I had to get knee surgery. I knew I wanted to go to college at some point. I was 21, and they wanted me to move back out to California and all this. And like, all right, well, I'm going to take a break. I'll go to school, see if maybe I'll come back to this. But and the bike industry was kind of going downhill a bit. I just didn't have the. I don't know. I don't know what it was that I lost a little bit of drive at that time for some reason.
Yeah.
And I decided to make a move to go to college instead. And there's so many cool stories you hear about, like the downtimes though. Like if the people that hung with it was kind of a special time for them, for those guys too. So, so that's the direction I went. I don't know. I was towards the end of my career. I was definitely a little bit more riding afraid than I had been in the past. Like I was a little more fearless early on, and as I got older, and I probably because I just wasn't in 1990, I just didn't ride enough to feel comfortable taking risks. Like if you're riding all the time.
Yeah, your confidence is high. Yeah,
you're confident. Yeah, and you're riding a big ramp or whatever it is you're riding. It feels like second nature to you. But the combination of not riding enough and just the scene was really very different. This where I grew up riding in my town, the area that I rode in, all the guys that I rode with, we just had so much fun, and it was always a blast. And then that changes to you've got to you're doing this for a living now, and you've got to. I loved all the guys that I rode with, like the guys from California and Dennis McCoy, a good friend of mine, and all those guys that I rode with. But people were spread out so much. And the enchanted ramp was a blast, but for whatever reason, I just I don't know. I chose that I needed a break for a bit. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened, to be honest. People change, I guess. I don't know. At some point
many small things,
Yeah.
That's what happens, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
with the because it was so like it just collapsed, like
Yeah.
it was fully like it was dead, like completely dead, and
Yeah.
that'll kill if you're in a town on your own and you've got to fly miles. That's
Yeah.
hard, isn't it? And you've
And
got injury as well.
and you stuck with it like through that time, or did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From when I was like, from the 80s to now, like I know, but like it's weird because you look at like you say, when we was in that dark patch, it seemed so hopeless,
Yeah.
and so
You
like
look back on it now. It's probably some of the most special times of your life.
yeah, it was the best. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
weird how you look
It is
back on
weird.
everything like that, like
Yeah.
because it was there was nothing. Like we was in London, there's like 4 riders. London's
Yeah.
huge. Like there's no one. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell my kids that, like, yeah, if they're going through some miserable times for this or that, and just like, yeah, some of your fondest memories will be like when you're completely miserable with something. Because I remember with tour was a lot like that too. When you're on tour, and when you're on tour, all you want is to get home and get this tour over with. But right after tour ends, you're like, holy shit, that was incredible.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you reminisce about all the cool things you did and how much fun you had, and breaking down in the middle of the desert and what happened next and all this sort of stuff. And it was horrifying at the time, but like you look back and you laugh and many cool things came out of it.
You look back and you've got a head full of stories. Like
Yeah.
I was talking to someone today about the same thing, and was saying how like you always, whenever you look back, you always say good times, but like there's loads of times that you didn't think were good, but like when you look back on them, they always seem good. So it's like it's kind of strange inbuilt human sort of characteristic that we always look back and think good, but we very rarely look forward and think this is going to be a good time. Like it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I'm very much like that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. What did you go to college to do?
So I went to school for mechanical engineering, and
okay.
I'm psyched with that path I chose. The path I chose, but I reflect back on, and I think back to the time that when I chose to go to college and leave BMX, or take a break, but it was the right time. I think I was 21, so things could have worked a little differently, but anyway, I went to school for mechanical engineering, and I worked. I started in like '95 with an engineering job, and I've been doing. I worked in a couple of different industries, but like the one I'm in now, for the past 10 years or so, it's 3D metal printing, which is pretty cool stuff. Like it's popular. It's pretty common for medical device parts to be 3D printed in like titanium, implantable titanium stuff will be 3D printed. And so this company I'm working for now, I've been there for a couple of years, but it's a startup, but it's a big startup now, like really well-funded company that we have a bunch of big machines that, like 10 machines that it's just massive lasers and they're printing on like metal powder, layers of metal powder you print with.
All right. What do you do? The CAD drawing or something?
I'm one of the engineers responsible for some of the hardware inside the printer. But I do. There's the days of like having a CAD department are not as common anymore. So most engineers will do. They're responsible for their CAD, their models, and their drawings. Right. I use CAD quite often, and so I'm responsible for some of the. There's a lot of automation stuff inside the printer to move things around. And I mean, to be honest, like a lot of the BMX guys that grew up building ramps and working on their bikes and redesigning their bikes or doing that, it's all, most of those guys would make really good mechanical engineers, I think. Like very, mechanically inclined, like-minded sort of thinking people. Like one of my last boss a couple companies ago, he would like someone that's like all they like to do is work on cars, and they're really good at working on cars. Usually, like you're a shoo-in for getting a job. If you're a mechanical engineer when you like to work on cars, you're probably going to get hired by this guy just because like that certain people are good at thinking the way a mechanical engineer thinks, and I think a lot of BMX guys think that way. So,
all right,
spatial kind of people are just like more math than verbal sort of people. I think. I am.
I guess like a bit,
but I love it. Yeah,
BMX guys who are like, you're constantly thinking of how to do things and put things in places and stuff like that. I guess
exactly. Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah,
to me that's similar sort of on the similar line.
Totally. Yeah.
Man. And well, you did take a break from BMX because correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear that I saw a picture of you riding some trails. I don't remember where. I think it was on some social media, so it would have been Facebook or MySpace. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had a bike. I've had a bike through the years for sure. But like when I was in college, I didn't ride at all. And but after college, like I had like Dennis McCoy convinced me to go out and do a bike show with him in '95, okay. And it was an Interbike. We was riding from Mongoose, and I'm like, dude, I haven't ridden. I haven't ridden since Norfolk, West Virginia. Like my bike was I still had a flat tire. Like this is like 4 years later, I had a flat tire. At the end of the contest, there's the last contest I rode in. Dave Mira was like, "Hey Joe, can I try your bike?" And he was doing a couple of rollbacks on the half pipe, and he rode over a big splinter and popped my tire on the half pipe, and took her to the airport and right to the shed when I got home with the flat tire, and that's where it sat until I flew out to go to the show with Dennis and fixed it when I got there. And he's like, "No, Johnson, that's perfect. The worse you look, the better I look. So that's perfect. You can warm up and practice, and then I just need like some dead time between my runs. So yeah, that's fine." So he convinced me to go to these shows with him. And then after that, I did ride a bit more. I rode at Kevin Robinson's skate park a bunch in Providence.
Okay.
And I planned on trying to qualify for X Games like in the late '90s, maybe. No, it was like 2000, maybe 2001. Because Steve Swope, he gave me a spot to one of the qualifying events at Woodward West, and so I was practicing to try to ride and compete in that, because I think to qualify, it wasn't impossible to qualify, and I just thought it would have been like, once if I was able to qualify, I just felt like it would have given me some momentum and a goal to really start getting back into it. But maybe 3 weeks before that, I sprained my ankle really bad. And most BMXers, they're riding with sprained ankles all the time anyway. But
yeah,
it was like much, much worse than I. I ended up going out to the contest, but not with my bike.
What was you going to ride vert?
Say it again.
What was you going to ride, vert?
Yeah, I was going to ride vert. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And but then over the years after that, I would goof around from time to time. Like on this, there was the trails one you might have seen was the one in some guys had some trails in maybe 40 minutes from here that I went down and rode it once. yeah, it was, and that was again. I hadn't been practicing at all, but the jumps were really big. Like you look at videos of it. I look at the video from riding that day, and it's like they look really small. Like the gap was not very far, but I'm telling you, it was
always on video.
So big. And they were fast as hell too. Like the next one, you had to be ready. You got to land right. You got to be ready for the next one. But and they didn't have any there was no other warm up jumps at all. Like, and I knew that the guys were super cool. I knew one of them a little bit, and it's like, no, you could tell there's something over the woods there from maybe 5-10 years ago. Like they were all like grown over and stuff. So I'm out there like raking out some old jumps that was back when they weren't as good, I guess, these kids. And so I ended up scraping off these old jumps that they had, so I can at least try a few jumps, clearing some others.
Yeah.
First. And that was really cool. That
who was it? Who were the guys? Can you remember?
It was God, drawing a blank. Let me look it up here.
I think I saw it on someone else's. I don't think it was your page. No? I saw it on. I think I saw it on someone else's.
Damn it! Really?
I thought you was doing a turn down. Maybe I'm not remembering.
Oh, that might be that was at a skate park, maybe.
Maybe. I thought it was some jumps, but maybe it was a turn down jump at a skate park. Would that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dennis McCoy may have taken a picture of that. But man. Oh yeah. It was Brandon Christie was the guy that was. Okay. It was his trails. I don't know why I forgot.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so it was Brandon Christie's trails behind his house, and Mike Rotondo is the guy.
Oh, know that name. Yeah,
I think he's the one that connected me with it. And
okay,
so he and I went down there.
Cool, man.
Yeah, but and so just a heads up, I've got to pick and.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go. If you're
like 10 minutes, I've just got to go pick my daughter up at soccer. She's started her club.
No problem, man. I'm kind of I've got all the way through all the stuff that I wanted to ask you anyway. So that's perfect. I'm sorry to have kept you so long, man. That was
my God, don't worry about it. Yeah, not a problem at all. Thanks for staying up so late. Is it almost midnight over there, right?
Yeah, 12:30. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I'm down for the calls.
What are you doing BMX now? You do this podcast.
I've got a BMX store called Vault BMX, which is where I am now. I'm in the basement. Yeah. And I do the podcast is called the Union Tapes, and I do this thing, Bicycle Union, which is like hard goods and soft goods. Been doing it since roughly 97 or something. Yeah.
Wow.
So just been that's what I do. Yeah, that's my day to day. But this is kind of semi new. I've been doing this podcast for about I can't remember how long, 2.5 years or something. But I do one a month. Try and track you guys down. Sometimes it's difficult, but so it's been fun. I love it. I think these stories need to be out. These
I hope I was clear enough with some of the stories. I know we didn't get into too much.
No, I thought it was great. It was great fun talking to you. Yeah,
all right, good. Yeah,
I forgot. I know that you're a bit of a character, but I'd forgotten that you're quite funny and you've done like some stuff that's quite naughty. Like I can only say it's naughty because you don't seem like the sort of person who does that.
You've heard some stuff. You've heard some stuff.
Yeah.
We gotta figure that out.
I'd forgotten. Yeah. But funny, man. But my friend Zach Shaw, right?
Oh yeah, I love Zach. Yeah,
he's my riding buddy from the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, you grew up riding with Zach. Oh yeah, Zach. Zach's great. It's funny. There were guys that like UK guys that I kind of didn't overlap with, but barely.
Andy Brown. You know Andy Brown?
Yeah, I know Andy well. Yeah, he lived out.
Yeah.
he rented an apartment out there in Encinitas, like out at the Enchanted Ramp.
That's
bit,
right.
so,
Yeah. So he's one of my old friends as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy Brown's great. But no, like Jerry Galley, I didn't know him, but he was
he's one of my old buddies as well.
So what did he just come out of like
he was really good as a youngster, but no one really saw him and then he was like good, but he was rough good, and then he figured out how to land properly, and he was off okay,
that was like 92, 93. He was just all this.
He got real good around 91, and then he just real good upward trajectory from there.
Because I didn't really see much of him or even hear about him until all these videos came out that I've seen. It's really good style, and he kills it.
Power, yeah. And another guy was Jason Hassel. You probably met him as well, right?
Oh yeah. Jason Hassel was great.
Yeah, I haven't seen him for a bit.
Mike Canning.
Canning. I've done Canning as well. Canning's got an interview on this.
Oh, you did it? Okay, I'll listen to that.
I've done a lot of the older English guys that I grew up looking up to. So it's a lot of UK guys.
When I went to the book signing, not the book signing, the book
launch
here. This is one 5 years ago. 5-6 years ago. I reached out to Mike, and it was after. Yeah, it was around that time. But anyway, he had knee surgery, right? And
that's right. Yeah, he really bad. He messed his knee up bad.
Yeah. A lot of I guess a lot of us guys are. Have you had any joints replaced yet?
No, I haven't. No. Let's hope I don't have to as well. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, my knees are pretty shot right now. But I had. Yeah, I'm constantly getting surgery. I had surgery last week on my elbow, but my knees are in rough shape. They're killing me, but eventually I'll have to get it done, I think. But I can't imagine if I did stick with it like a lot of guys. Like I was good for some, every year there would be a good solid handful of slams that I'd have to pay. Over the years,
I've not ridden to obviously the standard that you guys have ridden to, which is probably why I'm a bit more lightly dented,
That's good.
But all good, man. All right, man. Well, I'll let you get on with your daily task. Thank you very much for coming on. It's a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Yeah, same here. Thanks for your time. That was fun, John.
No worries. I'll ask you for some photos if you can spare any. I'll send you an email tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll are you on? Do you check my LinkedIn by any chance? Are we not LinkedIn? No. Instagram. Are we on? You on? Have you?
I'll do it in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I'd have some photos on there.
Okay.
That some people have tagged me in that are kind of that are decent. I think. And I have a shoebox of some photos up there. Over the years, I've given some away that sadly I didn't scan before I sent them out, but they keep telling me I'm going to get them back. There's a lot of photos that I need to. I was talking to Dom recently. I think Dom said he hasn't forgotten to send some of my photos back. I don't know why I would send them out without taking pictures of them, but you know what I mean. Like it's maybe back then you can take a photo of a photo now, and it's pretty damn.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
So anyway. But yeah, I'll send you what I.
All right, awesome. All right, man. Well, thanks again.
All right, thanks again.
All right, take care, man. Thank you. See you later.
Thanks for listening. We've got a Patreon page, so if you could show us any support, we'd be most grateful. The link's below. A lot of work goes into these shows, so anything you could do would be much appreciated. Thank you.